Good day, class. As continuation with your primary hemostasis, we will now be discussing the primary hemostasis per se. Okay, so your primary hemostasis deals with the activation of your platelet up to your aggregation. So let's discuss. So again, let's refresh what hemostasis is. So hemostasis usually occurs in the arterioles and venous. No, this occurs on your blood vessels. Okay, when an injury is inflicted, okay, and there is an exposure of your endothelial lining, okay, which is usually coated by your glycocalyx. Okay, so your glycocalyx will now initiate the production or the secretion of your factors. No? Okay. Then vessels are not non-thrombotic under normal circumstances. So under normal, okay, they are not thrombotic. When you say non-thrombotic, they don't form clot usually. Okay, under normal circumstances, but under external injury or injury, you will now encounter thrombotic. No? Kaya nandiyan nakalagay, damaged vessels are pro-thrombotic. Okay, because so there is an exposure of your subendothelium or in your collagen initiates the platelet activation. Okay? So again, pagka ng thrombotic, nandyan yung factor natin na they are negatively charged. Yung surface ng ating blood vessels ay negatively charged. Okay, wherein also your platelet is negatively charged. Kaya, like charges repel. Okay? Also, it inhibits platelet activation using your prostacyclin and nitric oxide. Okay? And also, the production of your ADPase or your adenine diphosphatase. Okay? And then also, there is heparin, which is the normal anticoagulant found in the body, and also the thrombomodulin that prevents your clotting. Okay? While on prothrombotic, this was already discussed in the previous lecture. Okay, exposure of the subendothelium will cause production of collagen wherein your platelet will be activated, and also secretion of your von Willebrand factor wherein it will initiate your platelet adhesion. Okay, that platelet adhesion will be discussed later on your primary hemostasis. Also, there is some factors that's being released in order for you to initiate the activation of your secondary hemostasis. Okay, so let's go to your primary hemostasis. So your primary hemostasis, this is a blood vessel and platelet in response to vascular injury. So the role of your blood vessel and platelet, so per se, excuse me, in external or vascular injury. So basically, your primary hemostasis deals with platelet and vasculature. Okay? Vasculature and platelet. Okay? Which ends up with the formation of platelet plug. Okay? That's the primary hemostasis. So we do have two responses, your vascular response and the platelet response. So let's elaborate. What is your vascular and platelet response? So for your vascular response, you do have substances that's being released like your prostacyclin. So on your prostacyclin, this inhibits platelet aggregation. Okay? And induces vasodilation. Wherein, in normal circumstance, this is being produced by your vasculature or your blood vessels to prevent the clotting of your blood. Okay? But in a injury, this prostacyclin will be inhibited and will be prevented to be released in order for your blood to clot and your platelet to be activated and adhere to your blood vessels. Okay? There is also adenosine, okay? Which also promote vasodilation. So if ever, when you say vasodilation, this is a blood vessel. Example, okay, that is a blood vessel. That is a normal blood vessel. When you say vasodilation, it will increase the diameter or the surface area of your blood vessel. When you say vasoconstriction, it will narrow down, okay, the blood vessel. Okay, the circumference of your blood vessel. Okay, this is vasodilation. Nagdadilate. This is vasoconstriction. Nagko-constrict. Constriction. Okay? So, yan. So, those two substances are being initiated. Those two substances initiates now vasodilation, and also it inhibits platelet aggregation. When you say platelet aggregation, this is a process wherein your platelets come together. Okay? Platelets come together. How? They will adhere to each other and they will aggregate on the area of concern. So, for example, there is an injury here. Injury. So, ano mangyayari dyan? Unang-una, magkakaroon ng vasoconstriction, magko-constrict, liliit yung blood vessel. Ano mangyayari? O, si platelet. Kunyari, ito si platelet. Okay, si platelet, adhere dyan. Tatawag pa siya ng madaming platelet. And, it will end up in blocking or forming a platelet plug, wherein that is also known as there is a step known as your platelet aggregation. So later on, we will discuss it further. What other substances are being released on your vascular response? So you do have also your thrombomodulin. It inactivates your thrombin. So your thrombin is essential in, again, forming a blood clot or a platelet plug. So these vascular responses, it inhibits. Okay? During an injury, it inhibits these substances. But during a normal circumstance, these substances are being released continuously. Okay? So it enhances anticoagulant activity of your protein C. Okay? Then your protein C, it inactivates factor 1 and 7, which are essential in your secondary hemostasis. Okay? Another substance that is being released, your heparan sulfate, it enhances activity of your antithrombin 3, preventing clotting. Okay? Also you do have your TPA or your tissue plasminogen activator. So it converts plasminogen to plasmin. Okay? This plasmin destroys your clot. Okay? Then you do have your von Willebrand factor required for platelet adhesion. So this is being released during your injury na. Okay? Also, you do have 3-HODE or your, this should be or 3-hydroxy octa deca ionic acid. Okay? It inhibits platelet adhesion also. It should be 13, I think. Mali yata. Okay. Next. So, that's all about your vascular response. Now, let's go now to your platelet response. So, on your platelet response, it will now deal with these, okay, with these functions. So, kasama yung vasoconstriction, nasa taas na yan. Okay? These three function. Then, these two will be on your secondary hemostasis. This is primary. Okay? So, platelet adhesion, aggregation, and then platelet plug formation. So, first, we do differentiate your primary and secondary hemostasis. So, for your primary hemostasis, this is desquamation and small injuries to blood vessels. So, basically, mga maliliit lang na injury ang na-prevent or na naayos ni primary hemostasis. While on your secondary hemostasis, it is required required in your large injury to blood vessels and surrounding tissue. Meron na tayong blood loss. No, increased blood loss. Okay? Also, your primary hemostasis involves in vascular intima and platelet only, unlike your secondary platelet and your coagulation system. Your coagulation system is your intrinsic, extrinsic, and your common. Okay? So, yung mga yan, involve pagka secondary. So, pagka primary, dalawa lang, vascular intima or vasculature and your platelet. Then, on your primary hemostasis, this is just rapid and short-lived response. So, mabilisan lang to. Unlike your secondary hemostasis, delayed and long-term since it needs to activate a lot of factors to initiate the clotting. Okay? And then, for your primary hemostasis, the damage or activated are your endothelial cells, while your secondary hemostasis, there is a tissue factor being exposed on the cell membrane, wherein these tissue factors has a factor in initiating your coagulation pathways. Okay? So, pag-usapan natin yan when we go to your secondary hemostasis. Okay. So, steps in primary hemostasis. So, you do have your vasoconstriction, platelet adhesion, and platelet aggregation. So, I isolated this in these three steps only. So, let's go to your vasoconstriction. So, again, this is composed of blood vessels wherein your endothelium and subendothelium. Okay, so yung endothelium, yung vascular permeability and blood flow rate are controlled by single layer of endothelial cell lined in your blood vessel wall. Okay? So, upon injury, there is an increased vascular permeability that will occur during your injury. Then, syempre, there will be a leak of what? Of your plasma proteins, blood cell. Okay, magkakaroon tayo ng migration of blood cells to the site of injury. What blood cells? So, primary, you do have your WBC and your platelets in order for it to suppress possible entering microorganism and to close that injury. Okay? So, yeah. Then, you do have your subendothelium. So, on the subendothelium, this is composed of smooth muscle. Okay, smooth muscle and connective tissue with collagen fibers. So, when your collagen is exposed during injury, it will initiate platelet activation. And also, in congruence to that, your intrinsic pathway of your secondary hemostasis. So, hindi po sila, mauuna si primary, mauhuli si secondary. No. Sabay yan gumagana. Okay, lalo na when there is a big or a large injury. Okay? So, yan mga yan. Okay. So, for example, this is a injury. So, this is a blood vessel. Okay, there will be a vasospasm or blood vessel spasm. So, anong mangyayari? There will be constriction. Blood vessel constriction. Lumiliit yung diameter. Bakit? To seal off yung area. So, you can see, medyo malaki dito yung butas. Dito, lumiliit kasi nagko-constrict yung blood vessel. Ano yung mga nagko-constrict dyan? Your subendothelium and your endothelium. Okay? Since some of them are made up of smooth muscle, they have a property to constrict. Okay? After that constriction, ano nangyayari? There will be production and release of substances that are essential in your primary hemostasis. Since primary hemostasis yung pinag-uusapan natin, there are essential factors that are being released during that constriction. So, ano yung mga yan? So, first is you do have your von Willebrand factor. Saan ba matatagpuan niya si von Willebrand factor? So, si von Willebrand factor is present on this side of your blood vessel wall. Okay? Sa blood vessel wall yan. So if ever that there is an injury, ano mangyayari? Lalabas si von Willebrand factor. Ano mangyayari doon? Tatawag siya ngayon ng platelet. So for example, this is the platelet. So sorry, below. Okay, yun yung platelet. Okay, nagkaroon ng von Willebrand. So magsisignal siya for that platelet or for those platelet around to adhere in the injured site. Okay, si von Willebrand factor magkakaroon ng halikay dito, may injury dito. So tatawagin niya yung mga platelet. So the platelet will now adhere to your site of injury. That is called your platelet adhesion. Okay? So mag-a-adhere ngayon si platelet kay collagen via von Willebrand factor. Okay? So yan. No? Ano na mangyayari? So after that, magkakaroon pa ngayon ng production or release of tissue factors, no, for your secondary hemostasis. We will discuss it on your secondary hemostasis. Okay? So yan, ano mangyayari na? Okay na, nagtawag na siya, nagkaroon na tayo ng platelet adhesion. Dumikit na si platelet. Okay. Ano na nangyari? Dumikit na si platelet sa injury. Dumikit na si platelet dyan. Okay. Nagkaroon na ng platelet. Ano ngayon ang mangyayari kay platelet? Okay? So, nag-adhere na siya. No, adhesion to the exposed subendothelium connective tissue, wherein this is the site of injury. Major interaction is binding of platelet receptor, glycoprotein 1B9 complex to your von Willebrand factor, which bind to your collagen. So, ano nangyayari? Si platelet magkakaroon ng complex. Ano yung complex na yon? Your GP1B9 complex or receptor. Saan matatagpuan to? On the peripheral zone of your platelet, which is the covering of your platelet or the outside of your platelet. That will adhere to your von Willebrand factor. Okay, may receptor. Didikit ngayon kay von Willebrand factor. Yan. So, ano mangyayari yun? Si von Willebrand factor will act as a communication with your collagen present in the endothelium, adhering to the platelet. The platelet adhering to the collagen present in the endothelium with the help of your von Willebrand factor. So, didikit ngayon. So, si platelet, didikit. So, ano magiging glue nila? Ano magiging glue ni platelet tsaka ni injury? Ang magiging glue nila is si GP1B9 complex plus von Willebrand factor. Okay, again, anong meron si platelet? Your GP1B9 complex. Anong meron si endothelium or si yung injury? Your von Willebrand factor. Okay, so yung dalawa na yan magiging glue. Didikit ngayon si platelet sa injury. Okay, sa injury didikit siya ngayon. Okay, that's your platelet adhesion. Kaya nga adherence. Okay, next step. So, ayan na, dumikit na si platelet adhesion. Dumikit na si platelet. Ayan na siya. Ito na yung platelet mo. Ito yung platelet. Ito yung von Willebrand factor na ni-release. Yan yun. Ayan yun. Ito yung GP1B9 complex. So, dumikit siya dyan. Ito yung collagen sa subendothelium na injury. Tingnan mo na, may breakage siya. May breakage yan. Okay, yan yung dumikit. Okay, ano na mangyayari? Next step will be your platelet activation. Okay, on your platelet activation, there will be activation of the platelet. So, there is a trigger after the platelet adhesion or exposure to the agonist, there will be shape change. Ano mangyayari kay platelet mo? From a circular ovoid structure, it will now go an irregular shape. Okay, magiging ganito na siya. From, ito yung platelet mo, bilog siya, magiging irregular na siya. Bakit? Bakit siya nagiging irregular? It will help in the, formation of your platelet plug. No? Kasi pag nagdikit-dikit sila at bilog yan, syempre pwedeng dumulas. Okay, kaya irregular na yung shape niya para pwedeng magkapit-kapit yung mga projection ng mga platelet afterwards. Okay, on that shape change, no, nagkakaroon ng alteration. So, ano ba yung mga agonist na sinasabi dito? Mga platelet agonists. So, those are your collagen, ADP, thrombin, epinephrine, and thromboxane A2. Okay, and also arachidonic acid. So from the previous lecture, no, napanggit natin yung collagen, ADP, thrombin, arachidonic acid, except your thromboxane and epinephrine. Ano bang ginagawa nito? Si thromboxane A2, ang ginagawa niya ay, this is being produced by your arachidonic acid, by your cyclooxygenase and thromboxane synthase. No? It stimulates platelet granule secretion, which enhances your vasoconstriction. Okay, again, ulitin natin. Si thromboxane A2 is produced by your arachidonic acid. Your arachidonic acid, no, magpo-form siya ng thromboxane A2 with, no, by cyclooxygenase. So si cyclooxygenase plus thromboxane will produce thromboxane A2. Okay, thromboxane synthase pala, sorry. Synthase, alimutan ko. Thromboxane synthase. Okay, si thromboxane A2 will produce or stimulate platelet granule secretion. So, ano yung mga sinisikret ni platelet? Ito yung mga alpha granules, delta granules, okay? Yun yung mga yun. Okay, wherein those granules are necessary for the activation and, no, formation of clot. Not only in the primary hemostasis but also in the secondary hemostasis. So, go back on the lecture on your platelet, no? Makikita nyo doon yung mga granules na yan. Okay. So, yan mga yan, no? So, kailangan there is thromboxane A2 production or activation, secretion during the platelet activation. Bakit? Your thromboxane A2 is required on your platelet aggregation. Okay? That is required on your platelet aggregation. Bakit? Para saan ka mo yan? Okay? So, let's go to your platelet secretion. So, na-activate na, ngayon magsisikret na. Ano yung mangyayari sa secretion? Magpo-produce pa ng kung anong kailangan. Anong kailangan natin? You need thromboxane A2 and, no, the granules being produced by your platelets. That's why there will be a platelet secretion. So, anong kailangan ni platelet secretion? You need ATP. Meron bang ATP si platelet? Meron. No? Sa parts niyan, meron. Okay, nasa organelle zone. Okay? Agonist released, no? Further activating your platelets. Okay, ano ulit yung agonist natin? Yung thromboxane A2. Okay? Calcium is also released. Para saan si calcium? No? Magkakaroon ka din dito ng secretion of calcium. Bakit magkakaroon ng calcium, sir? Para saan si calcium? Si calcium is another, no, necessary part of your secondary hemostasis to proceed. Okay, your open canal carrier system fused with granular membrane. And content of alpha granules and dense bodies or dense granules are released into the outside of the platelet. Okay, ano na nangyayari dyan? Sige, mamaya. No? After nyan, tapusin mo natin, magre-release na, okay? Nag-release na si platelet. Ano mangyayari? Magkakaroon ng aggregation. Si aggregation, ano mangyayari dyan? Your von Willebrand factor will now bind again with your GP1B9 complex and activates the intracellular signaling pathway that results in the activation of GP2B3A complex, which then binds to fibrinogen. Okay? And then interaction and adhesion of platelet to one another to form initial plug in the site of injury. So, basically, ano na nangyayari? Nagkakaroon na ng platelet to platelet, no? Na pagdidikit. Si platelet aggregation is platelet to platelet. Pag si platelet adhesion, platelet to the vascular endothelium. Okay? So again, si fibrinogen magkakaroon ng bridging to your platelets and your GP2B3A receptors, resulting to the aggregation and also so since doon sa secretion sinabi natin may calcium is needed here. So you need calcium here. Okay, you need calcium here. So si fibrinogen at si calcium are from your granules and also your dense tubular system. Okay? So primary aggregation. So we do have also your primary and secondary aggregation. For your primary aggregation, it is loose aggregation reversibly if stimulus is not sufficient. So pagka primary, pwede lang. When you say pwede lang, okay, sige, dikit-dikit lang muna tayo. Dikit-dikit lang. Hindi pa magkakakapit kamay. Okay, pag secondary, there is irreversible provided sufficient stimulus occur. Internal ADP release, thromboxane A2 synthesis, and release of further stimulation. Okay, during the aggregation. So, pag sa secondary naman, dikit-dikit na kayo, nagkapit-kapit kamay pa kayo. Sobrang solid nung hawakan. Unlike pag primary, nagdikit-dikit lang kayo. Walang interaction, walang linkage. Okay? That's a loose aggregation. Pwedeng masira agad. Unlike pag secondary, sobrang dikit-dikit solid. Okay, let's now look further on the injury. So, balik tayo sa injury natin. Ayan. So, balik tayo kay injury. Ito na si injury. Ayan na si platelet. Okay. Nagkaroon ng platelet adhesion. Dumikit. Ito na si, sino to? Your GP1B9 GP1B9 complex. So, si GP1B B9 complex. Siya yung magiging glue natin. Saan ulit? Siya yung magiging glue natin together with your von Willebrand factor plus von Willebrand factor. Si GP1B9, ito siya. Siya yung naka-attach kay platelet. Si von Willebrand, siya yung naka-attach kay collagen sa subendothelium. So, magkakaroon ng glue. After that platelet adhesion, ano mangyayari? Magkakaroon tayo ng platelet activation. So, your platelet will now be activated and change in shape. So, magiging, pahaba-haba na, pagalamay-galamay na. Okay, magkakaroon na siya ng galagalamay. Bakit? Para saan? Para magkaroon ng solid na hawakan. Okay. Karoon na siya ng galamay, nag-activate na siya. And also, there is release of certain enzymes or certain chemical receptors, in order for you to attract more and initiate further platelet function. So, ano yung important natin pag platelet activation? Your thromboxane A2. Okay, si thromboxane A2, na-release na-activate na. Okay. Ano na mangyayari? Magkakaroon tayo ngayon ng secretion. Okay? Further, papadamihin yan. Magsisikret pa ng more thromboxane A2, more. Plus, your calcium also, more. Okay? Nagkaroon ng madami niyan. Ano na mangyayari? After your secretion, magkakaroon na tayo ng aggregation. So, yung mga yan, yung mga agonist na yan, tatawag yan ng madaming platelet. Papunta kanino? Kay another platelet. So, platelet plus platelet is your aggregation. So, didikit na si platelet dito, magkakaroon na ng another platelet, magkakaroon na ng another platelet, okay? Yan na, another platelet here, another platelet here, another platelet here. And the cycle continues until magkaroon tayo ng solid formation of your platelet plug in the site of injury. Okay? Magko-continue lang yon. Okay, and then a fibrin mesh will be included in the fibrin clot formation. So, yan. Nagkaroon na tayo ng platelet aggregation. Excuse me. Yan. So, platelet, magtatawag na siya ng platelet. Ay, nakikita nyo, no? Iba, no? Hindi na siya bilog, meron na siyang projection. So, platelet, magkakaroon didikit-dikit. Pag platelet to platelet, again, aggregation, double G. So, dalawang parehong itsura. Pag platelet adhesion, platelet to the subendothelium or the vascular intima. Okay? So, yan. So, yan. Itong yellow na to, that is fibrin to strengthen the clot formation. Okay? So, yan. So, again, no, that's the end of your primary hemostasis. Nagkaroon na tayo ng platelet plug. Nag-plug ka na ng platelet sa site of injury. Okay? So, that would be all for your primary hemostasis. Thank you.